Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. Governor Kathy Hochul says she wants to make New York more affordable, more livable, and safer. She outlined her legislative agenda this week in her State of the State address to lawmakers.
My fellow New Yorkers, after 3 very, very difficult and painful, tragic years, I'm proud to stand here and say that the state of our state is strong, but we have work to do.
Governor Kathy Hochul used her State of the State address to call for making New York more affordable, building 800,000 new units of housing across the state over the next decade. And to address the increase in gun violence and crime, Hochul says lawmakers need to make changes to the bail laws passed a few years ago.
If New Yorkers don't feel safe in their communities, if they can't afford to buy a home or pay their rent, then the dream stays out of reach for them. I would say we can agree that the bail reform law as written leaves room for improvement. And as leaders, we cannot ignore that. When we hear so often from New Yorkers that their top concern is crime. And so to my partners in government, in the legislature, let's start with this base of shared understanding and have a thoughtful conversation and talk about what we can do during the budget process and make improvements to that law.
The governor is proposing making it easier for judges to set bail for more serious crimes, although she says she still stands by the principles behind the original law. Along with those changes, Hochul says the state has for too long ignored a growing mental health crisis in New York and wants a huge billion-dollar increase in mental health care.
When it comes to keeping people safe and protecting their well-being, fixing New York State's mental health care system is essential and long overdue. Even before COVID, the rates of mental illness had been on the rise. But since the pandemic, more than 1 in 3 New Yorkers have either sought mental health care or know someone who has. That's staggering. And the fact that too many can't get it. The barriers just seem endless. No appointments close to home. Insurance won't cover the care. Long waits for psychiatric beds in hospitals. What happens? People suffer in silence. Illness grows when it's not treated. We have underinvested in mental health care for so long and allowed the situation to become so dire that it also has become a public safety crisis as well.
To help low-wage workers, the governor wants to overhaul the state's current system for increasing the minimum wage, taking it out of lawmakers' hands, and instead boosting pay year to year to match increases in the Consumer Price Index.
I'm proposing a plan to peg the minimum wage to inflation. If cost goes up, so will wages. So will wages.
With the cost of living so high right now, the governor said she is opposed to any increase in the personal income tax this year. In all, she laid out about 150 proposals, many during her State of the State, even more in the 275-page booklet that goes along with it that lawmakers are now poring over. The governor will have her budget proposal within the next couple of weeks that'll include the cost and more details for all her proposals. Reaction from lawmakers, Republicans who blame bail reform for the rise in crime say they are more than happy to talk to the governor about more changes to those laws and addressing mental health.
She did talk about public safety and crime. We do have a crime issue in New York State, but her solutions, additional gun control. She did talk about bail reform, which has been one of the leading reasons why we see this increase in crime. But I'm not sure her solutions to that, at least she did talk about it, but I'm not sure anything she suggested on that. We got to give judges discretion. That's a common sense approach to reforming bail reform. So we'll see where that goes. The other thing she talked a lot about was mental health, which we do have a mental health crisis in New York, and I think there's one area that we could probably work in a bipartisan manner to try to get a solution.
State Senator Dan Steck says the governor's plan to address many of the issues New Yorkers care about, like public safety, affordable housing, the mental health epidemic, and improving the state's economy, misses the mark, and that her bail reform proposal comes up short. He also takes issue with her plan to tie future increases in the minimum wage to inflation, saying it will drive up prices and costs for both residents and businesses. You can watch the governor's full State of the State address on our website and YouTube channel. And we'll hear more from our local lawmakers in the coming weeks as the governor releases her more detailed budget proposal.